This happened several years ago. I was home alone one evening when I heard a knock at the back door. This confused me, as no one ever used that door. My husband and I lived in a fourplex at the time, and all of the units had a back door at the top of a narrow staircase. These doors were a little inconvenient to access, as you'd have to go around the building and up the narrow staircase, as opposed to the wider main entrance at the front. It didn't make sense to use the back entrance, and I couldn't think of anyone who would go to that door to visit. As I approached the back door, I saw two tall men in the window, standing at the door. A chill ran down my spine. I did not feel safe opening the door, so I called out. "Hello?" One of the men tapped on the window.
"Yes, hello. May we come in? We're with Bresnan."
At the time, my husband and I had Bresnan for cable, but did not have any issues with it. I replied, "We're not having any issues with Bresnan. Is there a problem?"
"Ma'am,"
the man said.
"can we come in? We're serviced in the area, and it's important we look at your cable."
I shook my head.
"We're not having any issues,"
I repeated.
"so there's no need to stop by."
"Ma'am, we are visiting every resident. Let us in so we can do our job."
I noticed the man grab the doorknob and try to open the locked door. I slowly grabbed a knife from our knife block and held it at my chest.
"We're not having any issues,"
I repeated, trying not to convey any shakiness in my voice.
"so you don't need to be here."
The two figures appeared to shuffle and then straighten.
"Ma'am, let us in. We're on a deadline and need to do our job."
I glanced at the clock, gauging when my husband would arrive home from work. I gripped the knife tighter.
"Ma'am? Ma'am?"
I saw him try the doorknob again. I closed my eyes and felt overwhelming gratitude for always locking my doors. Just then, a thought came to the forefront of my mind.
"I'm sorry, I can't help you. Could I please get your names and badge numbers? I can give your supervisor a call to let them know our cable is fine."
I heard another shuffle, and one of the men replied.
"No need to, ma'am. We're sorry we wasted your time."
With that, both of the men exited the staircase and disappeared into the night. Shaken up, I held the knife tightly and tried to get my bearings. I remember making a mental note to call the cable company or the police, but my hands were shaking so badly I couldn't hold my phone. With the knife still grasped to my chest and the phone falling out of my other hand, I sank to the floor and cried. When my husband returned home, I told him what had happened. I was still very shaken up and had started crying again after he came home. He immediately called the Bresnan Cable Company and spoke to a representative who informed us that no one from their company was out on an assignment in our area. The next day, we asked our neighbours if they had a visit from the company. No one had. So, a little context, and I'll post photos to show in better detail what I'm describing. I live in the basement of a 2-story house. My brother and I rent it. He has the upper floor, and my girlfriend and I live on the lower floor. He's entertaining a lady friend this evening, and I'm in my room trying not to hack up a lung. I have that flu going around, so I've been curled up under my comforter, sleeping on and off, and watching Netflix. It was around 8. My girlfriend just dropped off some soup and Powerade from the store to me and headed to work. She's a deputy for the police department in the next town over, so she just left and I'm back in bed, dog next to me, perusing my choices on Netflix, and I hear our gate open. The dog hears it too. She's a cattle dog, so she's very protective of her turf and me. So she's growling. At first I think it's my brother and his friend going to soak in the hot tub. Then I received a text. It's my brother. He and his lady friend are headed to the store, and he asks if I want anything. I freeze. So if he's not here, who the F is outside my yard? I grab my rifle. It's not loaded, so I load it, while the dog's making a racket. My windows open a smidge, and I approach it. The way my windows are, and it's hard to explain, so I'll post photos soon. is that they are well windows. There's a ladder that leads to the yard on both windows, and 2 grates that open. I shout out,
Who's there?
no answer, just giggling. So I say F this and dial 911. In the midst of doing this, the grate swings open and a stringy-haired blonde woman starts coming down the ladder. She sees me with a rifle in hand and bangs on the window. While I'm telling dispatch what's going on, and they tell me a unit's on the way, this chick's going on about zenith and vibrations, and the aliens told her and her friend I have drugs. I tell her and her friend to get the F out. I hear the male yell cops, and her skinny ass books it. So I run upstairs with my dog, hot on my heels. I open the back door, and my dog runs after them. Both of them hop over my yard to my neighbours. I hear the cops coming into my yard. I let them know I have a gun, and I set it on the grass. I point to my neighbour's wall, and one cop lifts himself over, but they've already escaped. I let them know what happened, and they are pretty sure that they know this particular duo. By this time, my brother's home, so I fill him and his girlfriend in. Cops tell us to keep windows and doors locked, and if they come back, we are to call the cops. Now I'm back in my room, too keyed up to sleep, so I figured I'd write it on Reddit. I'll take photos tomorrow and post them. Hopefully, I don't see those druggies again. Before I continue with the final story, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to see future content from me, as well as help me in the algorithm. Thank you. This happened several years ago in my previous apartment. I was living with my girlfriend and one of my best friends. We had recently moved into this 2-floor apartment about 2 weeks prior to the event. I remember being up pretty late that night, about 3 AM before going to bed. My girlfriend usually left the house about an hour before I had to get up for work. That morning, I remember her running around the house frantically looking for her car keys. This wasn't out of the ordinary, and I was getting annoyed because she woke me up looking for them. I just wish that she'd put her car keys in the same spot that I do, so this wouldn't be a common occurrence. However, this time, she was extra frazzled and saying things like,
My keys are nowhere to be found. The cow skull
"We have a cow skull in our living room."
is on the floor and there's pictures taken off the wall.
At this point, my eyes shot open because I knew this didn't sound right. I was the last person to go to sleep, and nothing was out of place. I immediately got up thinking, please say this isn't real. I knew I left my laptop on the coffee table, and as I ran down the steps, I knew that if it wasn't there, that we had been robbed. Sure enough, I round the corner, and the laptop is gone. I started to hyperventilate a bit as I tried to process one of my worst nightmares. I started scanning around the house and noticing thing after thing missing. My laptop, slide guitar, hookah, jacket with wallet inside, my shoes, beer steins, box with my passport inside that happened to be there because I used it for something on my laptop, as well as several other items. They all seemed to have been gathered in my trash can and carried away. We checked the 2nd floor office next to our bedroom, but saw the iMac still there, so we assumed the burglars hadn't come up to the 2nd floor. It turns out my girlfriend's keys were stolen, and apparently they had gone out to the parking lot and found her car to rifle through. But it didn't seem like they found anything inside to take. We called the cops and looked around some more. I realized immediately that there was no forced entry, but the realtor lockbox had been pried open. The property had recently been sold, but the lockbox remained. The cops arrived and took the report. They dusted for fingerprints, although I knew this was just a formality and probably something they did to placate victims. About a week later, I received a Facebook message from a guy that said his dad recovered my wallet from a local addict. Apparently, his dad was some kind of neighborhood watch and strong-armed this guy after seeing him rifling through a wallet. I called the cops again and told them what I was told. They sent an officer over to pick me up and take me over to recover the wallet. The officer said they were aware of this guy that had my wallet, and they just handed me back the wallet. I had already cancelled all of my cards, but it was nice to have my license back in my hands. After following up with the police multiple times, it was apparent that nothing was going to happen, and the detective even seemed upset that the previous officer gave me my wallet back for breaking the chain of evidence. But that detective was reassigned to another precinct, and my case slipped through the cracks. I wasn't naive enough to think something would happen though, so I was cynical enough to just let it go. Unfortunately, we hadn't gotten renter's insurance yet, so that was a bummer as well. A month later, I got an alarm installed and was starting to get over it. Then, my girlfriend goes to use her iMac on the second floor office, and only then realises that her keyboard and mouse are missing. This freaks me out all over again, as I knew that my other guitar was in that room too. This is the guitar that my dad bought me in freshman year of high school, and I had taught myself to play on. I had played numerous gigs with it, and it had incredible sentimental value to me. I rushed to that room and flipped open the guitar case, only to find it empty. Now this, plus the fact that we now know they came up to the second floor, meaning they were inches from our open bedroom door, was enough to damn near give me a panic attack all over again. I'm heartbroken about the only non-replaceable stolen item, and freaked out that we were inches from a potentially horrific outcome. I still thank all that is holy that whoever broke in only wanted items. If it had been anyone with even a shred of malice in their hearts, they could have turned a bad situation into an unthinkable one.